Okay, going on to exercise 7 in chapter 3, this is going to be an interesting one because it actually has two parts. We want to convert first an inputted digit, really just one digit, a 2 or a 7, into the value, i.e. into the written out form, and then be able to take a written out form and convert it out back into a digit. So first, let's start off by creating our vector. So we're going to need to have a vector of string. Let's make sure we get our string here. And this is going to be a vector of standard string. And we call it numbers. And we can go ahead and initialize it. The order here matters because I'll explain why in a minute. So 0, 1. And this will effectively initialize this vector right away. What we then need to do, we need to have a character for our input. And what we're going to do is we are going to essentially read it out. So standard, let's give the user the prompt. Please enter a single digit value between 0 and 9. And we'll go ahead and read it in. Input. And this is where we get to use the ASCII table to be able to convert from the value that we have into the position in the array. So you're going to see on the screen now the ASCII table, and I'm going to put a box around the value that we have in the ASCII table, so you can see between the character value and the numeric value and the digit value. So we can actually go ahead and subtract from one to the other. What that means is that we can say int desired number is going to be, we're going to cast this to an integer, input minus 0. That's where we start. Now, this is an important detail. Somebody could enter some other value, so this is a good place to start thinking about safety and safety value. So we want to say if desired number is greater than or equal to 0 and desired number is less than or equal to 9, then we know that one of the values we have is going to go into the array. So we can say like this, standard cout, you chose, and we can say numbers at desired number. Else, the user chose something else, we'll have to prompt them and say standard cout, you the entered value, and we'll go ahead and give it like this. This is going to be input was not a digit. Okay, and let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Let's go ahead and put in the value 7, and we get 7. Let's just try the whole range. We get the value 0, and we get 0, and we'll try also the value 9. We get 9. And let's go ahead and put in the value d to see what happens then. We say the enter value d was not a digit. So it looks like it both works in both cases. This finishes part 1 of the exercise, and now we have to think about part 2 of the exercise. Part 2 of the exercise has to do with what if somebody typed the value in, i.e. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and what they would like to do is they would like to be able to get the number back. It happens to be that we actually have to change the program a little bit. It's actually not going to work like this now, so we have to do something else. So instead of this being a character input, what we actually want to do is standard string input, and we would like to read this input in. Now, what we need to do is we actually have to make a decision at the top level, because what we need to do is we have to understand, did somebody enter just a single digit, i.e. the length of input is 1, or did they enter more, and then we can actually try and see if what they entered actually matches a value. So what we're going to do is like this. If input dot size is greater than 0, let's say is equal to 1, then we can actually take this logic that we have here, we can just move it into this code here. And instead, what we're going to do is we're going to say input at 0 is going to give us this value. Else, what we hope is that the value is more than that. Really, we should do like this. Else, if input that size is greater than 1, now what we need to do is actually a little bit different. We need to say is like this, int, we need to do it like this. For int I is equal to 0, I is less than numbers dot size plus I, and what we need to do is compare the input to the numbers. So if numbers at I equals input, then what we need to do is we can actually just print it out. Standard cout, you chose I. And we can actually let the whole loop finish running over here. And I'd like to do something interesting over here, just to make sure we have really good completeness of how the program works. We'll say bool found, we'll say false, and then we'll say here, actually don't want to do it like this, it's probably not going to be the best idea, but we'll just do it like this for now. We're not going to put all the full safety here, but we can also break from this loop early on. So let's just go ahead and see if this works as expected. And let's go ahead and run it one more time. So let's make sure the old option works, and that's, let's say we put 4. We get 4, so we know that that works. And let's, before we continue, let's do one more check. So we can do it like this. Please enter single-digit value between 0 and 9, or type out 1, 2, yeah, I'm going to do that like this, etc. Okay, and let's see what happens now, just to make sure that that all works. And let's type in 7 and see what we get. You chose 7. Let's type in 0. It says we chose 0. And let's do one more thing. We'll type in blah, and it doesn't put anything out. So let's just make sure that we do handle it here. I'll put this bool found is equal to false. And then here we can just go ahead and say found is equal to true. And now we can actually go ahead and say like this, and not found. We can also put this comparison here in the for loop. And we can say in the end here, if not found, then let's go ahead and say standard cout, the input was not a digit, was or a typed out number. And let's make sure that this also works. So that's how everything else works, but let's see what happens with that blah. It says the input blah was not a digit or a typed number, and so we now know that it all works nicely. So we can go ahead and ship this. It now performs the right thing for both cases.